Hey folks, we're back. I'm your host, BKP. Good morning from the office, North Georgia's only live online morning show. Now, let me say this, okay? I think people will disagree with me on impeachment. When I say it's all about, you have to know the road will run through, where the road will run through, okay? So let me give me number, if there's a second term, which I think there will be, of the President of the United States, number 33. All right, the Supreme Court of the United States. We watched CNN, we watched MSNBC, we watched Dianne Feinstein lie, we watched them make up phony rape charges, okay, which is sad, which, there's women out there that have been raped that are reporting their rape and not being taken serious today, and that's just sad. And we allowed this to happen with women, Dianne Feinstein, and the list goes on. But everything about the impeachment runs through right here. And you disagree with me because if the fight, okay, see the balance of power, okay, when Neil Gorsuch, and I said this yesterday and I won't take too much time, when Neil Gorsuch was appointed to the bench, far top, left or right, I don't know, white-haired guy, the outrage was not as bad due to the fact that it hadn't shifted the bench. Kavanaugh has shifted the bench. Now, there's a possibility, okay, there's two, and let me make this quick because this is my scenario. In the back, the two ladies in the back are appointed by Barack Obama, so he has two. Clarence Thomas, the black guy, was appointed by George H. Bush, which he has one. Okay. George W. Bush appointed in the front, Samuel Alito on the end, and John Roberts, which is a conservative until whatever they're blackmailing him with, they tell him to vote their way. So we hoped he was a conservative, but Alito and Roberts are two for none other than George W. Bush. And then Bill Clinton has Ginsburg on there in the chair, a little frail lady. And then is that Stevens or Breyer? I forget his name on the end, but he has two. So 3 presidents have 2, 4, 6, right? 1 has 1, and Trump now has 2, is 9. I know you just watched me do that on my fingers. So there's a possibility, long shot, but there's a possibility it could be a 5-4 court. And in the 5-4 court, it could be 5 Trump appointees. Clarence Thomas wants to retire. Ginsburg and Breyer or Stevens, I forget his name there. He may go, he's 80 years old. He may go to sleep one night and a pillow be over his head, just like Antonin Scalia. You never know. But all jokes aside, the president can get 1, 2, maybe 3, and you will have a Donald Trump 5-4 court. Now, why do I say this is the core of the impeachment? Because trade, world trade, what the president can do and can't do, what trade he can approve and can't approve, will go through the Supreme Court. Gun legislation, your Second Amendment, everything about what it can't do will go through this Supreme Court. Freedom of speech, okay? Your freedom of speech will go through this Supreme Court. Is it the Fourth Amendment's illegal search and seizure? Our constitutional right to our privacy, and you can't have my stuff, look in my stuff, search my car, come on my property unless I say it's okay, will go through this Supreme Court. Roe v. Wade, abortion, will go through this Supreme Court. Medicare for all will go through this Supreme Court. Absolutely nothing. The EPA, if the EPA finds a certain turtle that walks across the highway and they close the highway, the EPA will go through this Supreme Court. LGBTQ community issues. So the list goes on. We'll go through this Supreme Court. This Supreme Court will handle the biggest issues in my lifetime. Well, wait a minute. Were you not alive when Roe v. Wade became law? Were you not alive when this became law? No, no, no. The biggest issues that will change this country for good or make a correction and apply the Constitution in your lifetime will go through this Supreme Court. It's all out, got to get rid of Trump. Because if they put Mike Pence in place, which they won't, because now they're coming up with reasons why they have to, right? They have to impeach Mike Pence. You never thought, for the most part, people will say, political pundits, and especially if they've got a political science degree, they will say, you know what? The Supreme Court's not really a big issue to voters. I highly disagree now, and I know it's a big issue to the deep state. So either we are going to correct this country constitutionally and have it upheld through the Supreme Court, or we're done and over through the Supreme Court. Because you look at that list and you let a Democrat reappoint Clarence Thomas's, the black guy, Clarence Thomas, Justice Thomas seat. You let a Democrat reappoint Ruth Bader Ginsburg's seat, okay? You know, you let any and all of that happen. And, or even a Republican. George W. Bush gave us John Roberts. So don't say even if Trump is out, we get another Republican, we can still get the Supreme Court. Don't go for that. All right, so that's how I feel about that. Candidly, is this is running through the Supreme Court of the United States. Now let's go to let's see, my first, I've sent it here. Let's go to the second video, not the first one I sent. Let's go to the video that says Trump speaks about impeachment during meeting in Finland with Finland's president. Let's go with that one, okay? And let's start that. Now, right out of the box, the President of the United States is sitting down with the President of Finland, right? And they're going to have a discussion. No. No respect for any foreign leadership that comes to this country. No respect for any allies. Let's go to 4550 on that one, and let's start right there, and I'll tell you where to stop.
Purchases and lots of different very exciting events. So we'll have a long time together today. We'll then be having lunch. I think we're going to be seeing the media right afterwards and say a few words, but it's an honor, Mr. President, to have you with us. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm waiting for our discussions.
Yes. See, he's a man of few words and he gets it done. That's what I like about him. Anyway, okay, thank you all very much.
President Trump, how are you responding to concerns that you are putting the whistleblower's life in danger?
Well, the whistleblower was very inaccurate. The whistleblower started this whole thing by writing a report on the conversation I had with the President of Ukraine. And the conversation was perfect. It couldn't have been nicer. I saw Rick Scott. I saw many of the senators talking about it, many of the congressmen talking about it. Not a thing wrong. Unless you heard the Adam Schiff version where he made up my conversation. He actually made it up. It should be criminal. It should be treasonous. He made it up, every word of it, made up, and read to Congress as though I said it. And I'll tell you what, he should be forced to resign from Congress. Adam Schiff, he's a lowlife. He should be forced to resign. He took a perfect conversation, realized he couldn't read it to Congress because it was perfect. It was a very nice conversation. I knew many people were on the phone. Not only were many people on the phone, we had stenographers on the phone taking it down word for word. He took that conversation, which was perfect. He said, I can't read this. So he made up a conversation and he reported it and said it to Congress and to the American people. And it was horrible what he said. And that was supposed to be coming from me, but it was all fabricated. He should resign from office in disgrace. And frankly, they should look at him for treason, because he is making up the words of the President of the United States. Not only words, but the meaning, and it's a disgrace. It should not be allowed to happen.
But your own DNI said the call transcript was consistent with the complaint, so should...
No, he didn't say that. You have to take a look. No, he did not say that. And in fact, if you look at what he said, he found everything to be very normal. He's a good man, and Joe, and he found it to be very normal. I saw Schiff trying to go 15, call him Shifty Schiff. We don't call him Shifty Schiff for nothing. He's a shifty, dishonest guy who, by the way, was critical of one of the great Secretary of States. Graduated #1 in his class at West Point. Graduated one of the top in his class at Harvard Law School. The most honorable person, Mike Pompeo. And this guy was negative on Mike Pompeo. He can't, there's an expression, he couldn't carry his blank strap. I won't say it because they'll say it was so terrible to say. But that guy couldn't carry his blank strap. Do you understand that? So you're dealing with bad people. And I watched China over the last few days, and I watched some of these other countries build up. And we built up more than any of them because of me. But no help due to the Democrats. They're a disaster. They're the do-nothing Democrats. They don't do any work. All they want to do is try and win the election in 2020. So they come up with this impeachment nonsense, and everyone knows. The conversation, all based on one phone.
Okay. Now hold where we're at. Like where you stop, back it up about 5 seconds and hold it there, because we're going to come right back where you stopped it, okay? If you can do that, okay? Now, I want to fill in, this is in his own words today. Let Donald Trump do it, okay? So what I want to do is I want to fill in the blank. Adam Schiff could not carry Mike Pompeo's jockstrap. Now, if you were wondering what that blank was, because the President of the United States said, if I say it, they'll say, oh, look how bad it is, I'm going to provide it for you. Mike Pompeo, Secretary of State, first in his class at West Point, top of his class at Harvard. Quality, this is a bright man, very bright man. Adam Schiff should resign and should be charged with treason. He's a liar, okay? Flat out liar. And he cannot carry, I love that, he cannot carry Mike Pompeo's jockstrap. So I filled in the blank for you. Now, second, the president's going to talk. Now, you look, it's very embarrassing on this country. It's always this. Finland they're an ally, okay? Now, Finland, we need to discuss EU trade. We need to discuss what came down with the World Trade Organization, Airbus, all the above. Need to discuss Brexit, but no. Okay, did you hear anything? The President of the United States sitting with the President of Finland, and they opened up. He said, we're going to be talking about trade. We're going to be talking about this. We're going to talk about all these great things. Okay, you? What happened? Right? Immediately. Impeachment. Then the President of the United States says, I have been watching, okay? I have been watching China build up. Remember, they released is it the DF-14? We'll show you that later. They released that. China previewed this past week after 70 years. Trump said, I see everybody building up. Look at what we're doing. Look at what we're focused on. China unveiled a warhead, travels 7,000 something miles an hour, can travel 9,000 total miles, can reach every corner of the earth, and has 10, count them, 10 nuclear warheads. So let's go back to that video and start right where we left off.
Come up with this impeachment nonsense, and everyone knows. The conversation, all based on one phone call that I had, where I'm talking to the President of Ukraine. You'll hear from our ambassadors, you'll hear from some of the folks that know all about the call, why the call was set up, and everything else. It's perfect. The call was perfect. In fact, Lindsey Graham said, I didn't know you could be so nice. There was no quid pro quo. Remember before they said, the only reason I put that out, and I did it with the approval of Ukraine, by the way, otherwise I couldn't have done it, was because the whistleblower was so dishonest. The whistleblower said terrible things about the call, but I then found out he was second-hand and third-hand. In other words, he didn't know what was on the call. No, these are bad people. These are dishonest people. And when the American people find out what happened, it's going to be a great day. And you know what? We have to go back to building our country, because 99% of Nancy Pelosi's time is spent on this. She should worry about lowering the price of drugs, which I've done, but it's hard to do it without the help of Congress. About creating border security, which I've done. We now have hundreds of miles of wall under construction on the southern border. She should worry about infrastructure. She should worry about the USMCA. She's not doing it. I just saw part of a press conference before the president came. I'm sorry to bother you with this, Mr. President, because we have other things to talk about. But I will tell you, I just watched part. She says, oh, drug prices. Well, she's been trying to get drug prices down for, how long has she been in Congress? For years. She should focus on her own district. Do you see what's happening to her district? We call it tent city. It's terrible. In fact, we just sent a violation to the city of San Francisco. Unsafe water, unsafe conditions, environmental, EPA, our EPA, which is doing a great job, is sending Nancy Pelosi, with all the talk about EPA, there's needles and drugs all over the street. There's tents. There's people that are dying in squalor in the best location in San Francisco. It used to be a great city. Now you have to see what's happened to San Francisco. You happen to see what the Democrats have allowed to happen. As an example, what they've allowed to happen. Just take a look to Los Angeles, great cities. One other thing. Yesterday, as you know, I was sued by the governor, Gavin Newsom.
Back to me. Hold that position. Hold that position. I just want to bring up Nancy Pelosi's district, right? Now, I started the show with this, right? I'm doing this this is a bunch of bullshit, okay, what's going on. The president said it, I'm out there. I'm out there with it, okay? Schiff is mentally ill and needs to be brought up on charges for treason, okay? This is all a bunch of bullshit concocted, all right? Where they're trying to yell louder than the investigators on Ukraine. Now, Nancy Pelosi goes to the podium yesterday, and Schiff says, "We're not going away. We're going to do this. We're not stopping." Okay. Okay. We understand that your total campaign and everything you do is funded by George Soros. We get that, but Pelosi says, we can impeach and work on health care and work on prescription drugs. Look at her nasty district. Crapping in the streets, needles, disgusting. Nancy Pelosi's district. I mean, I don't even understand why, if they don't want to go Republican in San Francisco, why they're not actually looking for a Democrat to represent them to help clean up Nancy Pelosi's district. She's been in Congress for 30 years. She had a supermajority last time. A supermajority. She could have cleaned up this whole country and fixed all the things they claim. They're lies. Let's go back right where we left off and let's just do a little more. I had some starting and ending points, but we're just going to keep going with this.
Another beauty. I was sued by him. He's a do-nothing. Sued by him so that I can't get on the ballot in the state of California. It was a massive story. It was the biggest story, Mr. President. It was headlines all over the place. Trump gets sued by this do-nothing governor in California. It was big. Here's what happened. Yesterday, I won the case very convincingly. A very tough, smart, highly respected judge, not a Trump person at all, not appointed by Trump, appointed by somebody that you would call the opposition, came out with a scathing and tough opinion. I won the case. I didn't see one story that I won that case. Not one story. From the fake news. I didn't see Steve write it. I didn't see you write it. I didn't see anybody write it. So let me just tell you, just to finish. Nancy Pelosi and Shifty Shift, who should resign in disgrace, by the way, and Jerry Nadler and all of them. It's a disgrace what's going on. And we should be focused on making America great again and keeping America great, because that's what we have to do. And when I look at that parade with military and millions of people and everything else, we better get smart. We better start focusing on the right things. Because what they did with this nonsense, think of it. You have a perfect, I mean perfect, conversation with a president of another country, Ukraine in this case. And they try and say, oh, let's impeach him. They've been trying to impeach me from the day I got elected. I've been going through this for 3 years. They've been trying to impeach me from the day I got elected. And you know what? They failed. And this is the easiest one of all, because this one is based on one conversation. What about Obama's conversation with the president of Russia, where he says, hey, tell Vlad I'll talk to him after the election's over. I'll talk to him. Nobody reports that, right? That stuff you should report. But you people should be ashamed of yourself. We have the most dishonest media that you can imagine, and you should be ashamed of yourself.
Stop. Now, I want to roll that back about 5 seconds where he's going to start. Roll that back about 5 or 6 seconds when we start again, okay? Because I'm going to tell you, I mean, that's why I said today on the show, the second segment, we're going to do almost an hour of the president in his own words. We're going to break it down. Nancy Pelosi, Shifty Shift, Gavin Newsom, the governor of California, trying to keep the president off the ballot in California. All this bullshit that they're doing, all of it, total crap, trying to impeach this guy. You better pay attention to what China and everybody else is doing. Hey, Vlad, give me a chance to get reelected, and then I'll have a lot of room to talk and do what I want. You didn't report that. Now listen to the president square up the media. Now, today when I started this show, what did I say to you? If you ever wondered, why did I vote for this guy? Yesterday was over the top. Why you voted for him, why you need to vote for him again, and why you need to tell your friends to vote for him, because he said he's going to drain the swamp, so he's taking the heat. He's putting the people in place doing the investigations. He's taking the heat for what he promised you he would do. Now we have to support him. Let's go to his comments on the media, not right where we left off, when you backed it up a little. Start there.
Talk to him. Nobody reports that, right? That stuff you should report. But you people should be ashamed of yourself. We have the most dishonest media that you can imagine, and you should be ashamed of yourselves. Okay, I think I've answered most of your questions. What do you think?
Finnish media here. Finland is the happiest country in the world.
Finland is a happy country.
What can you learn? What can you learn from Finland?
Well, if you got rid of Pelosi and you got rid of Shifty Shift,
about that.
Finland is a happy country. He's a happy leader, too. No Republicans have raised concerns. I don't care. Look, I think a whistleblower should be protected if the whistleblower's legitimate. But when the whistleblower makes a big report on the conversation I had with a president of Ukraine, and it was a great conversation. We talked mostly about congratulations on your win. We talked about corruption, and we're really referring mostly to 2016, because what the Democrats did in 2016 was corrupt. And let's see what happens. They're more concerned with that than they are with me and impeachment. They're trying to hide what maybe is coming. I let our great, if you look, I let our great law enforcement take care of it, okay? Attorney General Barr, I guess, is working on it, and I hope he's working on it, because what happened in 2016 is a disgrace to this country. And they're more worried about that, because they know they're guilty as hell, all right? They're much more worried about that. When a whistleblower, okay, are you ready? I heard the whistleblower's report from you people, and how bad it was about just a simple conversation. By the way, this whole thing revolves around a simple conversation. And if you remember at the beginning, it was quid pro quo. That's all you heard about. And I think he said 7 or 8 times, quid pro. In other words, you're going to do that or we're not going to give you money. You're going to do this or we're not going to. I never said it. But when I heard these horrible stories come out, I had no choice but to release a conversation, which I hate to do, and I hope I don't have to do it again, with the leader of a country. I asked a certain person to call up a certain person in that country to get permission to do it. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been able to do it. And if I didn't do it, and I appreciate Ukraine for allowing us to release the conversation, but it was so innocent, it didn't hurt them. If anything, it helped them, because it was a very innocent conversation. But when a whistleblower takes that very nice, innocent, Lindsey Graham said, I never knew you were that nice a person. He said, you never asked him for anything. You were really, really nice. Lindsey was saying, I never knew you were so nice. That was a perfect conversation. I heard Rick Scott today say that was a perfect conversation. How can they impeach him on that conversation? He read it. He's a very smart guy from Florida, Rick Scott. And he said, that was a perfect conversation. How can you impeach somebody on that conversation? But the whistleblower wrote not that conversation. He wrote a vicious conversation. In other words, he either got it totally wrong, made it up, or the person giving the information to the whistleblower was dishonest. And this country has to find out who that person was, because that person's a spy, in my opinion. You ready? So when a whistleblower, purposely or not, gives something that's totally erroneous. Now, here's where I fooled them. They never thought I'd release the conversation. They never thought in a million years that I'd release the conversation. When little Adam Schiff saw the text, when he read it, he couldn't believe it. When Nancy Pelosi, who worked a day early, Nancy Pelosi called for essentially impeachment. Let's impeach the president, before she saw the transcript. And this is an exact word-for-word transcript of the conversation, right? Taken by very talented stenographers. Listen to me. So when she saw that, I heard she went crazy. She said, we can't impeach him of this conversation. That's a great conversation. She went by the whistleblower. And the whistleblower was so bad, I wouldn't even think about it. But here's what happened. The whistleblower was wrong. The only thing that matters is the transcript of the actual conversation that I had with the president of Ukraine. It was perfect. We're looking at congratulations. We're looking at doing things together. And what are we looking at? We're looking at corruption. And in, I believe, 1999, there was a corruption act or a corruption bill passed between both and signed between both countries, where I have a duty to report corruption. And let me tell you something. Biden's son is corrupt, and Biden is corrupt. And I'd rather run against Biden than almost any of those candidates, and I think they're all weak. But I think Biden has never been a smart guy, and he's less smart now than he ever was. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Mr. President, will you release the transcript of the
Thank you.
call, sir?
Thank you.
Biden and his son are corrupt. Bottom line. Joe Biden and his son are corrupt. Yesterday, Donald Trump was on target. The President of the United States put it right out there. He said, look, they can't take, I'm telling you, they can't take 2016 Barr's looking at the genesis. Remember what I told you in the opening of the show? When William Barr said we want to look at the genesis of all this, Trump just said they're guilty as hell. They're all guilty as hell, and they know it. So what they've done is they've come out to yell first and the loudest. So we're going to take a break. We're going to come back with the president in his own words again, and then we'll have a wrap up at about 9:40. So let's take a brief break, and we'll be right back.